I think this new black and yellow Gecko Moria leader is extremely unpredictable. First of all, you have to rely on a lot of great triggers, having the right cards in the trash. However, it does excel at swarming. So let's go ahead and talk about the leader. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Mabi here, and today I'm going to give you my personal deck profile for the Gecko Moria leader that comes on OP14. We're going to go over the game plan, the specifics, the noteworthy stuff, as you can see here from the notepad I have here. We're going to cover every single card, go over some strategy, and of course give you some combos. However, if you just want this deck profile and many more that we cover, link down in the comments below to my website, MabiTCG.com. There you can get this deck, many others in image, text format, and I will be posting all of my notes there as well. And if you guys are interested, yes, we have a bunch of videos out for duels with this leader, casual duels for fun, but of course we have breakdown videos letting you guys know how I think every single step should be taken, and I walk you guys through a full duel. So let's go ahead and get started. And just as a reminder, guys, this is just my own personal cook. I don't net deck or anything, whether it's good or bad. I think the fun of TCGs is actually building your own deck, experimenting, and just letting it go. I'm not trying to meta build here. If you guys are looking for tournament builds, lots of resources online for that. Just take what you want here and, throw out what you don't want. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll talk about the leader first, the game plan, go over every card, and then more of the specifics, all right? So let's go ahead and start with the leader, Gecko Moria from OP14, 5000 special, 4 life, black and yellow leader. It has 2 abilities. Well, it also has 2 archetypes here, 7 Warlords of the Sea, which actually is relevant in this deck, and also Thriller Bark Pirates, which I don't think it matters for your leader. No, I think some of them say if your leader is Thriller Bark and yeah. Okay, so both of them are relevant in this deck. 2 abilities. The first one here is activate main once per turn. You're going to KO one of your own Thriller Bark type characters. Your leader and all of your characters will gain 1000 power during this turn. So it's important to remember here, it's KO any of your cards. So if you have any Thriller Bark that has an on KO ability, you can self-proc it. But of course, you can always do stuff with it beforehand, like attack into it, maybe use their on play, then KO them, even if they don't have an on KO ability. If you're going for game or something like that, or maybe they're just not useful anymore, you search for them, they're low, KO them, get damage for a lot of your other characters, and then, really do some damage right there. But it's only Thriller Bark characters. The second ability is when attacking, you can trash 3 cards from your hand, then you can add 1 card from the top of the deck to your life card. So yes, when you attack, trash 3 to heal. It's nice that you can trash any card. I found myself not really using the leader ability, maybe like in 10% of the duels which I have activated this. So if you guys are enjoying the video, make sure to like and sub. It really helps out the channel. Let me know down below which leader or whatever you want me to cover next. I do upload lots of daily duels and etc. So let's go with the game plan here. So as you can see here, this is a very, very unpredictable deck. It does rely on triggers, having the right cards in the trash, and excels at swarming. I would say, even though this isn't a top tier deck, it's a really decent mid tier, but it has a high form of execution, meaning you really have to know, like, okay, I'm keeping this card, but after you search, after whatever, you keep this card, you trash the other ones. You have to think about future turns. So this is a high execution leader. The early game here is you definitely want to go second. You have a really, really strong 4 turn with being able to play Hogback here, your Perona, and then you have a great 6 turn, which is Gecko Moria. And even though you have a lot of 6 cost cards, you still would like to play more of your 4 costs. So you have a bunch of really great 4 costs to play. This is your good 6, and of course your 8, you're going to be playing your Gecko Moria. You do have a nice first. If you go first, you at least have this Absalom to play on curve. You have this Boa Hancock, but I would prefer if you go second with this deck. So you're going to be filling up the trash. You want to definitely keep your 4 cost Hogbacks during your search. Your Peronas, maybe keep these, but then you want to trash all of the other 4 costs and lower, and you definitely want to keep this. You want to keep this, and keep this if you can, right? In the mid game, you're going to be primarily stunning with your Peronas. This one allows you to make sure 6 costs or lower characters cannot attack. In this deck, you don't have a lot of defense. You have a little bit of blocker with this Sindri, but you're primarily relying on just, going into your 2Ks and stunning the characters and filling up your own board. And if your opponent isn't really, too savvy to your game plan, they might be attacking stuff on your board where in fact that kind of benefits you. You have a lot of on KO stuff. So you know, if they're not that great, they can, you know, attack your characters, but, you know, primarily they want to go for your face. So basically, yeah, your mid-game Perona Swarm, and then leave this on the board, leave us on the board, because you are going to be KOing them, but only at very, very certain points. And also keep mindful of what's in the trash. You have a lot of triggers, specifically that one that says here, play a Thriller Bark 4 or less from the trash. Play a Thriller, play any 4 or less from the trash. Play a Thriller Bark 4 from the trash, etc. A lot of these cards have that, so it's a priority that you want to get the trash up as filled as possible. And even if you're not able to do that with your on plays, such as your Sindri or your Hurry Up and Make Me the Pirate King, which searches and trashes, you want to make sure you at least counter out and get rid of stuff. For example, if you know your opponent's going to attack, get rid of at least a Perona. So you always want to have at least 1 or 2 targets that you're able to summon with these triggers, which is summons a Thriller Bark 4 or less. So you have to make sure the right card is in the trash. In your late game, you have these 6-cost Gecko Morias, which allows you to just summon one from the trash as well, give a Dawn to your leader. Then you have these Gecko Morias, which does the same thing. However, this one is played active. If your board is filled up, you can add that card to the top of your life instead. And if you go, you know, first, you go 9 Dawn, 10 Dawn turns, you have this Boa Hancock, which is new in OP14, and it actually works with this leader. So pretty much you want to swarm the board as much as possible, do a little bit of stunning here or there. And then once you get like 3-4 characters on the board, you want to KO things on the board, especially those that give you benefits, to power up all of your leaders, your leader and all of your characters plus by 1,000. Then you're going to just keep swinging and hope for the best. This deck really relies on triggers. You want to self KO and then go for the rush. So before we go over the specifics here, let's go over every single card, starting with lowest to highest. So we'll start with our characters. Sindri, Victorious Sindri. This card is from OP06. 1/2, so your 2Ks, you're running 10 2Ks in the deck. On play, if your leader is Thriller Bark, trash the top 5 cards of your deck. This card's really good, and honestly, if this one, pretty much usually what you want a mulligan for is a searching card or a turned 1 card. You usually don't want to play your 2K counters. This is a great one, however. So if turned 1, you have this one, this is your searching card, use it, you know, grab a card, trash the rest. This is still really good. First of all, you play it on turn 1, very easy Dawn. You can go ahead and just trash 5 on the top of your deck, and hopefully in there you can get all the cards that you need already, so you don't have to keep removing cards from your hand in order to, you know, fill up the trash with, you know, the things that you want. Later on in a future turn, you can KO this with your leader's ability in order to give everyone that 1,000. Now, unfortunately, this one doesn't have an on KO ability, but that's okay. You get the double benefits of removing the body and powering people up, and use the on play. It's important that you add things to the trash. So turn 1 with 1 Dawn, if you are doing that, you know, 1 or 2 of these or 1 or 2 of these is really good. Really amazing. Speaking of the 1 Dawn, let's go and talk about this one. Make Me the Pirate King from OP14, cost 1, pretty much on main. Look at 3, grab any Thriller Bark other than this, so you can grab anything. You know, as I mentioned, you want to grab the Peronas, the Hogbacks. Pretty much, maybe you want to keep these Hogbacks and prioritize them over the Peronas. If you have 1 or 2, that's great. Go for the Gecko Morias or this Gecko Moria, and then let the rest go to the trash. So this one really helps you fill out the trash. The trigger here is activate the main. Pretty much the same deal there. Your other 1 cost event here is going to be the Brick Bat from OP14. This one costs 1. During a counter, up to one of your leader or character Thriller Bark types gets 3,000 power during the battle. It's pretty decent. However, the trigger is amazing for the deck, which is play a Thriller Bark 4 or less rested. It's rested, so you can still do the on plays, and your opponent's like, it's a threat, maybe I will attack into it, etc. So these triggers are amazing. You have a ton of them. All right, and for the last of your 1 cost events in this deck, Ground Death, another card from OP14. This one's not Thriller Bark though. Cost 1, 2 effects. Activate main, rest 2 Dawn. That means 3 Dawn total. Negate the effect of one of your opponent's characters with a 5 or less during this turn. Most likely, you are going to be using this to negate the blocker on a card in order to go for another card, or better yet, go for a game. So 3 Dawn, it pretty much stops a 5 cost or lower blocker, then boom, go for game, which is really amazing. And it doesn't hurt that the counter here is if you have 10 or more cards in your trash, up to one of your leaders or characters gains 4,000 power. Amazing, great card. In this deck, you want to fill up the trash, so towards the late game, you're most likely going to have 10 if you need to use this as a counter card. So those are your 10 events and your 10 events, and your, of course, your 1 cost here. Moving over to Inupe. So I don't know if I want to put this one here. It's a little bit of, it helps you fill out the curve from OP06 231. It says it on play. If your leader's Thriller Bark, draw 2 and trash 2. Same thing when this is KO'd, draw 2 and trash 2. Now in this deck, you have quite a lot of character bricks, 15 of them. So you definitely need to keep adding stuff that you want to be able to use and counter out of and get rid of all the excess and trash that you want to use. So you have Victoria. You have Hurry Up and Make Me the Pirate King, but however, you have a little bit of extra oomph just in case in Inupe. Once again, just like Sindri, this going gets on the board, activate, draw 2, trash 2, KO, power up anyone else, draw 2 and trash 2. When it first came out in OP06, it was a whatever card. Your opponent had to attack into it in order to get the effect, but now you can self KO it and get some ability. So that's why we're running 2 in here. It's actually not a terrible card, especially when you really want to fix up your hand and also fix up the trash. It gets you double benefits off of that. All right, next up, it's going to be this Dr. Hogback from OP06 451. So on play, grab 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order, and then you get to grab any Thriller Bark character other than Hogback from your trash to your hand. Now, this is an important card because you are relying on Gecko Morias to win you primarily the game. Boa Hancock is here as a little punch, as a little extra one, but you definitely want these guys, right? You can't grab a Hogback, but you want these guys, right? This Gecko. With this, once you fill up your trash, maybe you might get some Boas in there, maybe you might get some Ground Deaths, maybe you get some Synergies. You only want to specifically summon a couple of things with these triggers, with these abilities to let you summon things from the trash. For example, Absalom is good. Its Perona is decent. High priority Perona, a decent priority Sindri, decent priority Hogback. You have a lot of things that you want to summon, and if anything else gets trashed, you can use this ability to just bring it back to the bottom of your deck in order to bring it back from the trash to your hand. More importantly, you can grab this. You are trashing. It's okay if you trash this early, as long as you know you're probably going to play this Hogback in order to bring the 8 cost back. So with this, with a very, very low chance of getting this in the deck, you got 1 searching card. This will help you get it if you somehow miss a bunch, so it's really good. Okay, next is Perona. So it's the OP06 452. This is more of your 2Ks here. On play, if your opponent has 5 or more cards in their hand, you get to choose one of this. Your opponent trashes 1, they get to choose, or give somebody -3 costs. In this deck, the cost doesn't matter. You're going to be using the first effect every single time. It's not often you're going to be throwing this out unless you really don't have another option for the other Perona to summon from the trash. This is it's decent. It's good for a 2K. If you need to play it. It's not the worst. Next is going to be the 6 cost Gecko Moria from PRBO2 670. It's one of your bricks. On play, if your leader's Thriller Bark, play a 4 or less from the trash rested. Nice. Remember, it's rested, so we can play something like this. Get the on play, get the on play, get the on play. Even if this is one of your best cards to play with an on play. Then you get to give 1 rested Dawn to your leader or your character. Once again, it's a brick. You're running 4 of them. However, you get a lot of advantage off of this. 2 cards on the board, 1 Dawn on your leader, and if you have way too many, you have stuff like, Inupe. So you can go ahead and draw trash if you just have way too many. It's another card to be grabbed by the Hogback. All right, cool. Next is Kumasi from OP14 122. This is the last of your 2Ks, making a total of 10 here. Nothing here but the trigger. Play a 4 cost Thriller Bark from the trash rested. As I mentioned, if possible, Perona to Hogback, play these as much as possible with the 4 cost. Other than that, Sindri if you need more defense, Absalom for a little bit of attacking, and then these 2 if you need to. But there's a lot of great triggers in this deck. This one really just helps out. You're usually never going to play this regularly. All right, Absalom. This deck's decent for the deck, right? OP14 3/5, another brick. When this card is KO'd, meaning when they attack into it and they KO it, or you KO it with your own leader ability. Look at the top 3, grab a Thriller Bark, then place the rest to the bottom. It's a decent card if you're able to get it on curve, because you can attack every single turn, and your opponent might think twice of attacking into it because you are replacing it with another card in your hand. I would feel like they would attack into it more often than not, though, because you're not replacing it on the board itself. You're just getting another card, and they're removing a threat from the board. So it's pretty good that way. This is a low priority to use with your leader's ability, but once you start getting your board really filled up, you can attack with him for 5,000, KO him right away, everyone gets plus 1,000, then you can go ahead and start filling the board out even more. So there's lots of ways to use this, and of course you definitely want 4 because the trigger. Add a 4 cost onto the field rested. Amazing. Okay, Sindri for OP14 311. This has a Nape blocker. The trigger is another add a Thriller Bark to the trash rested. Really good. Let's quickly count how many specific triggers we have in the deck that let you summon stuff from the trash. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 cards that let you summon from the trash. This Boa lets you summon from your hand. This one lets you just use the leader ability. So there's a lot, like, yeah, okay, 50 cards in a deck, 26 cards, lots of opportunities for opponents to activate those triggers, right? Okay, so yep, that's pretty much why it's there. Okay, Hogback. These two are really important for a combo. OP14 451. When this is KO'd, you get to play a 4 or less with the trigger other than Hogback from your trash. Pretty much, even if you throw this on curve, if you already have a Perona, I would absolutely trash this. Give your leader or whatever other character you have the plus 1000. Bring the Perona back ASAP. This one is so good on play. You get to go ahead and, you know, activate the... Well, we'll talk about this later. But yes, those are the things you want to do. And remember, you get to play this. This is not rested. So if you're super scared from being destroyed or whatever, you can instead, you know, maybe you're not able to stun a 6 cost or less. You can bring in a Sindri who can be an active blocker during your next opponent's turn, etc. Lots of ways to do this. Tons and tons of good because it's active. Remember, it's active, so that's what's really good. And I won't talk about the trigger again. It's the same deal for Thriller Bark 4 or less. Perona, here we go. OP14 451 on play, and when this is KO'd, up to one of your opponent's 6 or less cannot attack. They can still be rested if they block, etc. They can't attack. The trigger here is the same thing again. Thriller Bark 4 or less. Now, this card is really interesting. Lots of ways to do this. On the turn that you play this, maybe from your hand, you can stop a 6. In the same turn, you can KO it with your leader ability because it can't attack, can't do anything. If you are in a rush and you need to stop somebody from attacking, you can KO it as well in order to get the benefits. Doing that makes it so you're powered up as well and you stun 2 characters, which is pretty cool. All right, so this is a big priority. So Perona, Hogback, and this Gecko. These are huge priorities to summon each other. Grab the Hogback to, you know, this Hogback can grab this, etc. This Gecko Moria can summon these guys. It's really good because this one summons Hogback rested. Let's say you can do this, right? You can summon a Hogback rested. You then KO the Hogback to summon something active again. So lots of different ways, lots of combos to do things. If you play this deck, you're going to be, you know, doing a lot of testing, but pretty much a lot of experimenting on when to KO things, which thing to KO, which thing to leave in the trash. That's why I said at the beginning, it's a very high execution leader. It just takes a lot of practice for, I would say, decent results. Okay, so that's the Perona. All right, let's go towards the late game. Gecko Moria, OP14. Now, really quick, imagine if we were able to use the freaking 8-cost Gecko Moria. If this thing is unbanned, this deck would be insanely good. If this was unbanned, we probably wouldn't use this Hancock and we'd throw these in here. So maybe in a future date, if it's unbanned, redo this with 4 and 4. That would be insane. Just wanted to bring that up. Like, we didn't forget about him, just banned at the moment of this recording. Okay, so 8, 10, good power. Brick on play, play Thrill Bark 4 or less from your trash, or add it to the top of your life face up. So if you're doing really well, your board is completely filled, grab that trigger card, put it on top of your deck. Nice, you get to add any of those characters. 4 or less though. Or add it to, or play it. Now remember, it's gonna be like the Hogback. You get to play it active. So once again, you can stun stuff. If you need a block, do this, etc. You know, if you need to get another thing back to your hand, use this. There's just so many ways to do this. This is like definitely going to be an underdog leader. I feel like it's not bad. It's just unpredictable. Because once again, you need to rely on a lot of your triggers. So that's what it is. And the trigger here is play any 4 or less from your trash. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Thriller Bark character. All right, time for the final card of the deck, Boa Hancock OP14. I'm running 3. You might run one for yourself. 9, 10, another big powerhouse, another brick though. On play, if your leader is 7 warlords. So this is why I said the 7 warlords is important. This is the only card that matters right there. If it is, you get to heal from the top of your deck. Then your opponent takes one from the top of their life to their hand. Makes it so power swing. Life swing. That's pretty much it. It allows you to heal, hurt an opponent. have a big body. It doesn't really affect the board state, but that's okay because you have a good amount of triggers. So activating more life means, hey, you get more benefits of what your leader, what the deck builder is strong for. The trigger here is play a 6,000 or less trigger from your hand. So pretty much any card with trigger except Gecko Moria can be played with this character's trigger, which is pretty good. And that is the deck here. So here is the build: 45 Thriller Bark, 5 others. The 5 others are the Ground Deaths and the Boa Hancocks. With your leader, you have 18 cards you want to self-KO. You are okay with self-KOing. What is going to be these synergies if you play them earlier? The Anupes to really fix up your hand and the trash. These Hogbacks to summon things after you hopefully summon him, attack, etc. And then you want to KO these Peronas too. These ones are probably your best ones to self-KO. Maybe Absalom, maybe. Okay, well, you have for your 1Ks, you have 15, which is way below the average. But once again, you have lots of ways to sift trash, so hopefully it's not going to be an issue. We definitely have 10 2Ks. I want to keep it on very minimum the average. Your bricks is a little high. Once again, same thing with 2Ks. You're going to be okay with, you know, drawing and trashing. The search is very low on the end, only 4 searching. That's really unfortunate. But you mostly care about trashing the right cards, which is why Sindri is here, Anupe is here, and of course this one also puts things in the trash. Blocks is 2. Very low blocks. However, it can be resummoned with Hogback. They may be grabbed from the trash with Hogback and can be summoned with these guys rested. However, this one and this one makes it so it comes back as active, so that's good. Then events, you have 10. These are 4 searching. Pretty much you need them. Brick bats, decent. Triggers, amazing. And these 2, definitely want these to bypass blockers in the game. So some noteworthy stuff. This is using 40% of your OP14 cards, which is great. 20% of these other cards. So you have Victoria, you have Inupe, you have these Dr. Hogbacks for your other cards, Perona as well, PRBO2, and then everything else is pretty much OP14. So these ones are the only cards not from this set. So extremely unpredictable. Must have the right cards trash, which gets a lot easier once you get towards the mid to late game. But at the beginning, you know, when your opponent attacks you and you hit a trigger, you have to hope that you get something from the trash. Otherwise, it's a really wasted opportunity if that 26 trigger is hit. You have a lot of self-KO reliance, but you really need to rely. You still need to rely on triggers to keep up with a lot of the really top tier decks. So also, you have not a lot of good control. You have the Perona stun, which hopefully you can resummon, which I guess if you want, you can kind of combo, right? I said here that this Perona says it doesn't matter if your opponent has -3 or less. No, it might matter. Just in case they have a 9-drop, you can go ahead and do this. So you can go ahead and play this Perona if this one's already on the board, or if this guy's already on the board, you can play this Perona minus a 9 cost to a 3, you know, destroy the Hogback, summon this from your hand, summon this from the trash, stun a 9 cost or less. So you can technically do that, though it's up to you on whether or not you want to have more cost less, because this isn't that bad. Like, this ability, you want this to go off. So if you can somehow get a really good consistent amount of cost lowering, you might be able to stun huge monsters. All right, but yeah, besides the Perona stun, you're just hopefully swarming the board and then using Ground Death to bypass and win the game. And first of all, we haven't talked about this, but your second leader ability is not that useful at the moment. There are a very few amount of times where I attacked and I'm like, you know what, I have enough. Let's go ahead and get rid of some stuff and then go ahead and heal. But the thing is, though, you're healing and you don't know if it's going to be a trigger to help out. Would you rather get rid of 3 cards? Unless they're all bricks, unless, you know, you have way too many cards. You don't really want to get rid of 1Ks, 2Ks. You don't know. Unless you really need to put some stuff in the trash as well. That's another reason you might want to use this. You need specific cards in the trash, but you might as well use them for counters instead of healing. It's a little weird, but I haven't found myself using it that much. But, you know, it might work for you. So that is the deck, Gecko Moria. It's a fun leader. I would say it's definitely fun. Is it crazy strong? Hey, if everything aligns right, I think it can really keep up. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Remember, link down below to the playlist for the casual duels, the deep dive on how to play the leader, and just more stuff. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.